Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to be looking at the Algo 8301 IP paging adapter and scheduler. This will be a tutorial on bell schedules, how to create a bell schedule, how to delete a bell schedule, and how to edit bell schedulers on the calendar. So to start, you're going to need to type in the IP address of the Algo scheduler. If you don't know it, we can always provide that for you. Let's just say the IP address of this scheduler is 192.168.5.5. Hit enter. And it should take you to this login screen. To log in, type in the password and click login. And this is what you should see when you log in. Now we're going to get straight to the scheduler in this video, but before we jump straight into that, it's important to note that there are things called zones in this scheduler. To go there, I'm going to go to Advanced Settings and Advanced Multicast. You don't need to know the ins and outs of this page, but what you do need to know is if your school is using zones at all, and if they are, which zones relate to which areas in your school. For this example, we're just going to assume that we just have an all call, which is going to page the entire school. We're just going to use all call as the main zone for all the scheduling. Now let's jump straight into the scheduler. To do that, it's one of the tabs at the top. Let's click Scheduler. The first thing you'll see when you click Scheduler is the calendar. In this example, our calendar is blank. So when we're thinking about the Algo scheduler, we want to think about it in two ways. We first have a calendar, and then we have schedules, and we can select both of those at this top tab. This example already has schedules built, but let's assume that we don't have any schedules built. If we're a school and we want to think about building a bell schedule from scratch, what we want to do is think about all our bell schedules on all the kinds of days we would possibly use for the school year. And then we'd want to build out all those. That way we only have to actually build schedules once. So let's assume we don't have any schedules built. To create a schedule from scratch, we got to click this button, Create Schedule, and let's name it. Let's name this Main Bell Schedule. The next thing we need to do is add the events. And we do that by clicking the button Add Event. And that is going to be an actual bell time. And so if you want to have specific names for them, that might be helpful, or you could just name it the actual time. So that's just a description. Now we have to put the actual time in the time right here. And this is military time. And then we select the audio that we want to play at that time. So in this example, we can use the bell audio. If you want to use specific kinds of bell sounds, just let us know and we'll get those loaded up. And then all you have to do is know the name of that bell sound to select it. Earlier, we talked about zones. This is where we want to select the zone. So in this example, we said it before, we're just going to use all call, assuming we're going to use the schedule for the entire school. If you need schedules for different zones in the school, we can make that happen. We would just have to change the zones and let you know which zones apply to which areas in your school. And so that's how you build one bell time. Now, if I wanted to build another one, I could click Add Event, or I could click this Duplicate button, which might be more useful. And let's just say this is the 9 a.m. one, and I'll change this to 9. Now I've got my two bell tones. So if this is the main bell schedule, I would want to build out all the bell times right here on this schedule. And then I'd want to click Save. Now, most schools have days where they have testing and they only need the bell at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, or maybe it's a pep rally day or it's a different kind of bell schedule. If you already know the exact bell schedule for those days, the best thing to do is create a new schedule for those kinds of days. So in this example, we've got a state testing schedule, we've got a half a day schedule, we've got a pep rally schedule. All these are already built. And so now we've got all the kinds of bell schedules we will need in the school year built. And theoretically, if you get all those right, you only have to do that one time. Now, say I've spent a lot of time building out the schedule and I have all the exact times that bell schedule needs to fire. I've named them. They're all good to go. But now I need a day that is very similar to this, but just a couple of the bells need to be different. Yes, I could create a new schedule, but the better thing to do is to just click this Duplicate button. Now I've copied that schedule. Now I can make those edits very quickly. So say I needed it to be just like the main bell schedule up here, just needed to delete a couple of those schedules. Once I've done that, I could name it maybe the Alt Day. And now I've easily made a new schedule that's similar to the one. I've duplicated it. I've made a couple of adjustments, and then I can save that. You can choose a different color for each one of these. That can be helpful when looking at the calendar because that's the color that is going to appear on the calendar. Now let's move on to actually adding these schedules to the calendar. To do that, let's go to calendar. A good way of thinking about this is maybe think through the entire school semester. So say we start school in July and we'll end in December. What I would probably do is add the main bell schedule that we just created for that whole period of time. Now, when I click this drop down, I'll see all the schedules I created. And what we can do is do this two different ways. We can add them as single days or reoccurring days. Both of these are going to be useful depending on what we're trying to do. So just to get the school year set, let's go ahead and assume we want to add the main bell schedule to every day for the rest of the school year. Or maybe we have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. So that would have been something we created in schedules. We could do that, but let's assume this is every day. So what I want to do is I want to click the reoccurring button. Now I've got this new option here. And I could set it to daily, weekly, monthly. Weekly's great. That's going to work out just fine. And I'm going to set this for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every 1 week. And let's say the end date will be at the end of the school year in December. Let's do December 19th. Nothing has happened yet, and notice there's not a start date. Well, that is going to wait on me to actually click the day to start on the calendar. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this day. Now that added that day to every single day that I just told it to. And I haven't saved it yet, and it's telling me unsaved changes. So to actually apply that, I'm going to click save. Now I've added that schedule to every single day up till December. Say I messed up and I want to remove that day from every single day that I just did. I'm going to click this drop down, and now to actually remove any bell schedule at any time, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop this down and I'm going to click the none clear button. That's my basically deleting that bell schedule for the day or reoccurring days. So if I wanted to delete a bell schedule for just one day, I would click single, and then I would click that bell schedule, and that made that disappear. And I can hit save. But what if I want to delete all the schedules for the rest of the time that I added before? Well, to do that, I'll click the reoccurring, and then I'll click it again. And then this warning pops up and it says, delete all schedules in series for main bell schedule. Yes, that's exactly what I want to do. It's going to delete that whole schedule for how I set it when I click reoccurring. So I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to save it. And so now I just deleted that entire schedule. So for this example, let's add it back. Main schedule, reoccurring. And let's say it's just a Monday, Wednesday, Friday this time. Add it to the end of the school year. And save it. Now let's say we've got a testing day coming up on the 11th, and I don't want to use that main bell schedule. So again, to delete an individual day, I'm going to go down here to none, clear, make sure that that single is deleted because I only want to delete one single schedule. I'll click it. Great. I'm going to save that. I've deleted that schedule out of that day. But now I want to add that special testing schedule to that day. So now I'm going to select testing, and I still have single because I only want to add it to a single day. I'm going to add that to that date, and I'm going to hit save. So that's the idea of how to set up a calendar. Ideally, you're going to have all the kinds of days you need built. But what if you just need the bells turned off? Once your bell schedule's set, the most common thing you'll need to do on a schedule is to simply turn the bells off. We do that just by deleting that schedule from the calendar day. And we do that by clicking the drop down, clicking none, making sure that single is selected because we only need to turn it off for one day. We click it and we've then deleted it from that day. We hit save. that has essentially turned the bells off for that day. So if today's the 11th, I've just turned the bells off for that day. Well, now I need to turn them back on. We're halfway through the day. We need to suddenly turn them back on again. Okay, I'm just going to add that scheduler back to the day. They're good to be turned on. I'm going to hit save. Now, essentially, they're turned back on. One troubleshooting tip that's worth noting is that obviously the date and the time need to be exactly right. In theory, they should be right, but say that they're not. So if this is not right, your whole calendar is not going to be working good. So to make sure that that is right or make any changes, you're going to need to go to Advanced Settings and Time. Now we're set to US Central. What I can do is I can actually click this Sync with Browser, which is probably going to sync it up just right and perfectly. Or if I really need to manually override it, I can do that by selecting the exact time here and then clicking Save. If you have any questions about the calendar or the scheduler, always feel free to call our Ambit Care team. We're more than happy to jump in this with you and answer any questions you might have.